TFT tonight. Since you're rocking with the queen, AB, TFT tonight. Motivation, inspiration, cause you know how we do it in the day. Good conversation, no hesitation. Now you're rocking with the queen. Rocking with the queen, AB, TFT tonight. Since you're rocking with the queen, AB, TFT tonight.
You are now rocking with the queen, and it's time to get real.
What up? Welcome to another episode of 30, Flirty, and Thriving. It's your girl, AB, here live with Alex, a.k.a. The Ultimate Bachelor, Jaylyn.
Hey.
And Jamie.
Yo.
What's up? Okay, so a couple of housekeeping items before we get started, because I will forget. Number one, I think we have one more show here at Podcast Detroit. So if you are a follower or subscriber to 30, Flirty, and Thriving via the Podcast Detroit app or website or whatever, I'm going to need you to find 30, Flirty, and Thriving on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, whatever your guilty pleasure is, and subscribe directly to 30, Flirty, and Thriving. You'll know the difference because 30, Flirty, and Thriving, that is not affiliated with Podcast Detroit, has a circle logo instead of a square one. Second thing, we will have a break song, but it's going to be a surprise because we don't know what it is. We're drawing out of the hat because I was unprepared for the millionth time. And I feel like there was something else, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, and also, so it's kind of like really quick sad moment. I want to like dedicate this show in honor. I just lost a really good friend of mine, and Cynthia Garrett. Just kind of like want to remind everyone, you never know, how long you got here. So make sure you leave a good impression on those who are around you and live your life to the fullest. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and get this show started. We're doing dating part 2, part 239, part whatever. We're just going to continue this conversation. I think it's completely relevant because there is so many people that are in the dating field that are like out there wandering around like lost puppies, not knowing what to do with themselves, and they need help. So let's talk about it. Oh shit.
You gotta take that.
Well, yeah, it's a business call, but I'm going to have to get it to the show.
Oh,
all right.
I was saying I can hold it down.
Oh, you going to hold it down while I go out? No, it's good.
Yeah.
Got this.
Hold it down.
So I posted something on Facebook, I think last week, and I was like, have you ever found out, like the person that you're seeing, maybe have you found out who their ex is, or like somehow came upon some of the people that they used to deal with? And has it ever made you, like, question yourself or look at that person differently? Like, because I swear, so I started asking people about this, and people are like, nah, that's never happened. And I'm like, y'all are some fucking liars. You mean to tell me, that you've never judged the person that you're with or looked at them differently because of who they've dealt with in the past? I need y'all to speak on this, because I know I can't be the only one.
No, definitely. Why does everyone look at me first all the
I know
time?
you got
like
something to say. I know
say.
you got something to say.
I don't know that I've thought that much about it. And you made me think about it when you brought it up to me. And I think that no, I haven't judged them based on who they. I'm being dead serious.
So you started dating a girl, and her ex was like this really bummy, no job. I sell 20 bags of weed.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, maybe
That's 20.
Yeah, maybe.
You would be like, I don't think we're on the same
level.
I think
Don't
that's
lie.
happened. No, I think that's happened before, but I don't think I've legit like thought less of the person I was with. Maybe because if I'm really, really with someone, I already think so highly of them. Like maybe it's just you make mistakes in your past, and obviously you got right now. So, so
I like that,
Put
though.
that out
That's a
there
good
in
way
the
to think.
atmosphere.
right.
I like how you just have you on your live. Like, do you know that it is a
Well,
4-person show right
No,
now?
Well, the problem is I need to be.
Hi, Alex's followers. How are y'all? This is not just them.
I
This
know.
is 30, Flirty, and
Okay,
Thriving.
so what happened?
What's
What happened since we talking about mine? And
What's up?
And this is gonna be a reason why people who listen to this need to now go watch the YouTube, because now they're gonna wonder what's going on. But what happens is there's 4 people here, but I can't get all 4.
Because he wants his big ass head just.
Yeah.
That's it.
Let's see how I'm looking. Anyways, I can't get all 4.
You rocking the baby blue though. I saw that. I was like, I thought that was Jamie's favorite color.
Yeah,
Is this baby
definitely.
blue? Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I think it's in that family.
You like it, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
do.
and then because I couldn't get all 4, then it's like weird because then it's just like me and half of you in there, and
Yeah, well, that's what it was. So I had to.
you need to get in there. Yeah. and then we get.
Jamie, and then turn it so they can see you. Like,
they seen everybody.
sorry
though.
for everyone who can't see us. This is
seen
why y'all should definitely follow Instagram and Facebook so you have a visual to what's going on in the studio here.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can see everything. But
Right.
I always post it back up, and you're getting your stuff together. So that's another thing. You can catch it on YouTube
Getting
and all
my
that
stuff together.
Getting your stuff like all your content together. To
For
move,
sure.
move
So
forward.
Good.
she's like, good. It's like, I'm going to talk on this. I got something to say about
ready.
this.
She was ready.
You had coffee today?
Yeah,
I did have some coffee today. No, but I don't think I've ever judged them per se about the person that they've dated, but I've had a lot of questions as to, like, you know, why didn't it work or, you know, of that nature. But I've only been really into 2 serious relationships, so I don't really know.
Yeah. So if you started dating somebody and then you somehow came across some people that they maybe dealt with in the past, maybe talked to, maybe they wasn't like in a relationship with, but they smashed a couple times or whatever, and they were just like different.
I'm like, how? Like, I don't.
Not how.
To me, I think it's not so much that if it's who it was in the past, but like if they still stay in contact with them and stuff, that's what.
What
like,
if it was
turns
like
me off.
recent past, like a couple months ago or like
But
last year?
But once again,
That's not like, oh, you were young.
if they don't keep like contact with them, then I'm not tripping.
I'm not gonna lie. For me, it makes me feel some type of way. I don't
Me
know
too.
about.
Thank you. Because I feel like I'm not a shallow person, but I definitely, I'm like, I had to ask somebody, so are you ready to make better choices now? That ass asked him, like, is this your path to making better choices? Because
I always catch myself too, like finding out too late too. Well, I wouldn't say too late, but like
You already
once,
in it.
yeah, you're
that's
already
what
in
I'm
there,
saying.
and then
That's
you
the exact
find
same
out,
thing
you be
I'm
like, ugh, like that's what you was on.
But
Like,
that's what I meant. Like
Yeah.
I'm already thinking so highly of them that like to your point, it's too late to really just judge them off of like what they used to do.
yeah,
Because as y'all like to come at me, like I don't want them like coming at me on what I'll be on.
exactly.
Ooh,
So-
what you be on?
I was married and I.
Oh, wait, I mean, talking about that.
But that's a big deal to a lot
Yeah,
of
that
people.
is because that's
And
We
somebody.
talking about all
I
the
got
oopsies
kids.
since the marriage.
I got one. I
You
got
don't want
who?
to talk about that?
All the what?
Yeah, the oopsies since the marriage.
Oops.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
No.
I bet. Them bathroom quickies at the club.
Oh, damn.
You know what is
Yeah,
funny?
that's true.
You know what? They gonna come at me and we talk about relationships, so I can go at this
Yeah.
one. But you know what's so funny about that is that so many people DM me talking about y'all two with that. They were like, how do you guys have the viewpoint that you guys have on that? Because so many people are like, how do they not know about that one?
Yeah.
I've never
Who, you two,
experienced
them
it.
two?
You two.
You know,
Because y'all two were
I
all
know
surprised
what's
by
up.
it.
Well,
I ain't never experienced it for myself,
never-
and I don't know
Like,
anybody.
maybe-
Hold on.
that-
I've never experienced a first night hookup in the bathroom. But you guys were surprised at how many one night stands we were saying there are, and then
well,
you were
no, not
surprised
the
that that
one-night
happens at all.
stands, But I mean, honestly, like I was, my ex-husband used to accuse me of being a prude like all the time because I was very, very like, you laughing, but listen, because
A
it's one.
prude?
Yes,
Yeah.
because like I am, I was very, very, very. I had a very narrow viewpoint of sex and relationships and things like that, and I wasn't open, and I didn't agree with promiscuity or casual sex or hookups or like any of that. And I still, for the most part, I still don't. I definitely think I have a more mature understanding now, but I'm still.
Did you see my post with me and Nina?
I did. I didn't watch it though. I think
yeah.
I liked it.
Did
Did I
you
like
listen
it?
to it?
I didn't
don't
get a
know.
chance
You
to
haven't
listen
like
to
my.
it.
You been busy, so I'm
I-
gonna give you a pass. But you got back today. You got back today. I appreciate that. It basically she slipped up and said that like the point for shock value was all women should masturbate, and I was like listening, and she was like men for that matter too, because the more you ejaculate, the it reduced the risk of prostate cancer. And I was like, hold on. So you're saying that women are hurting men's health when they abstain from sex?
No, she's saying
So
that
that's
you
it.
should jack off.
No, she's saying.
Like,
she's
what do you
saying,
mean?
She's saying I'm gonna break that news
But wait a
again
minute.
here. That
How did that come? How did that? My B
Because
saying that I was
you say
accused
you
of being
be-
a prude does
Right.
not mean that I was not
Because you
sexual
don't
with my
believe in-
husband.
Right.
With my husband, we were good. But as far as like when
Other
we would have
people.
conversations or
Yeah.
when we would talk about his past experiences,
you didn't believe it.
I would be like, what do you mean you did this? And he's like, what the fuck? Like, how are you
that's
the way?
some normal shit.
Yeah. But I didn't get it. So that's why. Not because I was a prude, because I'm not a prude in the
We didn't call
with
you
my
a prude.
boo,
Okay.
Okay.
We didn't call
Baby
you.
girl done grown up now. I'm grown and 30, flirty, and thriving. 30,
Okay.
flirty, and thriving.
Oh my God, she want to be in my life so bad.
Well, because I'm like, you
Because
can't.
it's called 30, Flirty, and
Thank
Thriving.
you. Save this for Ultimate Bachelor.
First off, we were supposed to
I
be
wish I
changing-
wore my shirt
we
because
supposed
he
to be-
got his hat.
We supposed to be changing the name.
We're changing it to 30,
to
flirty, and thriving
verse.
versus.
Ultimate Bachelor.
Yes.
So, that's
Clearly. We need
yeah.
like a V right here.
right. And I have my own theme music. I just get no respect when I come on your
I
show.
like you just like trying to come for me. Okay.
I want to
Anyway,
take your spot.
Oh.
those are fighting words. Like listen, I'm
So,
from the streets. We can take
moving
this shit
on with
outside.
relationships. Moving on with relationships. No, what's the next part?
Damn. So yeah, well, so anyway, so I feel like when you're dating someone and if you happen to find out who they may have talked to in the past, or like, I don't know, like I definitely, a few things cross my mind. Number one, I look at them, then I start to question you, like, do you have low self-esteem, or are you insecure? Are you like, why is it that you would talk to somebody who, and I'm not even saying, it could be a number of things depending on the person. It could be their looks. It could be their social status. It could be the type of person they are, how they conduct themselves in public. It could be a number of things that you look at and you wonder, now, why would you think that that's okay? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not a shallow person, but I'm just like, I do think about these things. And then also my second thought is like, okay, so what do me and that person share that you see? Like, what do I need to brush up on in my personality or in my life? Because if you're attracted to them and you're attracted to me, then what the fuck?
Right.
I don't think it's that deep for dudes though.
Probably not.
Yeah, for women,
Not at all.
for women, I've noticed that like it
Clear-
doesn't matter who you say you mess with, they're not gonna like.
Well, no,
them.
but I have this like.
They're gonna find something.
sure.
So guys obviously are more visually inclined, so they definitely want to talk to somebody that looks good, but also dudes just want to hit. So really, guys will just talk to anything that will let them.
Yeah.
So
You people.
I'm sorry.
You just grouped us all into
You
so
definitely
when they
did.
hit-
I wasn't gonna say it, but you definitely grouped us in.
Group guys.
Yeah, I ain't
Y'all
never.
motherfuckers are the same.
I've
like, what do
never.
you mean?
I've never once. Hold on.
You've never once. Yes, the fuck you have.
I've never talked to someone just to hit, ever. Never once.
I have a really hard time believing that.
Me
okay,
too.
well,
I-
say,
I-
say what you
I'm
want.
like, you
I
are
can't
30,
side
what,
with
5
him.
years
I-
old?
huh?
I can't.
You
say
was a
that.
basketball player?
Yeah. The funny thing is, when in college, I had a girlfriend every year of college, different girlfriend.
Oh, so you wildin' now.
What
You
do you
like, you ain't got no girlfriend, you ain't got no wife, so you like in your like,
In his
In his
prime.
element.
hey, you going through that stage now. It's okay, I am too. It's okay.
Everybody needs to watch the video of this one because I'm really feeling myself, and
He's always really
I
feeling
feel like
himself.
the mic and the audio just isn't doing it justice.
I think it plays a bigger factor in when you're like talking to somebody instead of actually in
a relationship.
yeah.
Of course, like when you're in a relationship, I don't think it matters as much.
Yeah, or when you have the mindset of actually just like
'Cause
trying to bang somebody, I
Yeah.
think that plays a factor into like who
But
they
then why
mess
would you
with.
care if you're just trying to hit? Like I don't care like what you. Used
Yeah,
to
but
hit.
if she messed with somebody, it'd be like, you mess with that, or like if it was a possibility
sure.
that you could possibly like see something between y'all, and then you see
Yeah.
that, then you're like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to bang. And
Hey,
Yeah.
bang,
see
bounce.
how I'm confused is because I don't do that.
Lies.
But Jalen, correct me if I'm wrong, but women find men more attractive. Like if you about to talk to a dude and you know he had like a really, really fine ex-girlfriend or like a really successful ex-girlfriend, he automatically becomes like 10 times more attractive to you.
I
Yes.
will second that.
Yes.
Yeah, like
the
if
stuff I
I
hear.
But you still can find something wrong about it.
No, but I'm like, I don't know.
Tell-
I'm not even. That's like real. That's
Tell me-
truth for
tell
me. If
me
I'm
why-
dating you and
Oh, my
your
fault.
ex-girlfriend is bad, I'm like, oh, I don't know why. It just
No.
makes me more
But then what
attracted
if
to
she
you.
not bad?
Yeah.
Then it
And
just
then
makes
you
me
the
less
bad
attracted
That's
to
what
you.
we talking
Then
about.
I'm like,
But
Yeah. No, seriously.
but to Jamie's point, they'll say something positive that ends up like say it in a negative way, and I'll be like, okay.
Huh?
Like for
Yeah.
example, no, I don't want to
Like
No,
she's
say it.
cute, but her makeup's terrible.
yeah, or no,
something
no,
like
it'd be
that.
even worse.
Underhanded
Like I used to
compliments.
get all the time like oh I saw I saw what your ex looked like. You probably like big boobs because she
Hey.
had fake ones. But it,
Well, damn, why you gotta put her out there like that? That's fucked up.
you think I put her out there today? You should have listened. I know you ain't listened to my shit because you didn't listen to my shit last night.
Oh man.
Anyways,
That's so fucked up.
Listen
Do you
to
think
my
that's why she got remarried so quick?
no, that's my ex-wife.
Oh,
her
okay.
too. She got fake ones too.
So then you do like big boobs.
No, she got them like when we were almost done, and my ex-girlfriend got them.
Oh, that was her. Oh, that she was like, "Fuck you, I'm about to thrive when your ass get the fuck out."
You know what? You know what's really fucked up is I paid for them too.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I can technically talk about them.
Yeah.
They're mine.
They're
Yeah.
they're
I
they're
paid
more
for them.
mine than hers.
Yeah, for sure.
However, but that's what I'm saying. Like girls who want
paid
big
for her
boobs
to
and
get
they want to talk about like that, and they're like, yeah, the one with the big boobs. You probably like that, and I'm like, I don't not like that.
Yeah. You can't say no.
Yeah, but I don't.
Well, what if you try to be positive, I guess, about the ex?
Who? Me?
I'm just saying, like in
I'm
general,
always
like,
positive about my ex-wife for sure.
but like someone else's ex, like say you're in a relationship with somebody,
It
and
might
then
bring old feelings back. I mean,
you're trying to be positive about the ex, but then they dog the ex out.
You know what's funny is that you're trying to be positive about your ex.
No,
No,
about
about
their
their
ex.
Yeah.
Hey, so here's same thing, little situation. Have you ever had someone? Jamie probably understands this more than a girl would, but you'll be talking to a girl and she'll be talking about how good her ex was, and you'll be like, and you'll hear like some stories, and you'll be like, and I don't be hating. I'll never hate. I'll never say another dude did this, that, never, whatever. But I'll be like, man, if I just told her the truth about like that situation, like you would know some shit. Like that's what I feel like you'll have more than anything, because I'll stay positive about a dude, and they're positive about a dude, and I just continue that where I could squash all that. Like
Yeah,
I'll
get
leave
what
it
you're
there.
saying. I get. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you were about to talk.
Oh, I was like, you're looking at me like, yeah, like I felt like,
That was at you.
yeah, I was like, what? Because I
Oh,
know me and you
man.
have had conversations, so I'm like, shit.
Divas Amber. no, you were about to say something.
CBESCAMBER.
Y'all funny.
Anyway,
What's the next thing on relationships? Where can we go?
Next, the calm down.
Right.
So yeah, I don't like you push. Listen, this is my fucking show, damn it.
Not on my live, it's not.
Anyway, so the next thing, one of the other things that Jalen had actually mentioned was when do you introduce your children to the person that you're dating? And I think that is like such a great and common question for those 30, flirty, and thriving individuals who are like adults and have children, which is, I mean, I think it's more common than not these days that you date someone with a child. So when do you introduce them?
When
How
do
do you
you?
introduce
Yes.
them?
I could talk.
Sure.
We
go
looking
ahead.
at you?
You ready for this one, Jalen? Huh? I think it also depends on how many kids you have, because
Why?
I tell people this.
So if I got 4, I can't introduce them?
You can introduce them faster.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, just get it out the way. Like, listen,
No,
they
no,
bad
no.
as hell. There's 4 of them. I need you to run now if you gonna run.
Yeah, it's a test. Like if you stay, then I know.
No, I think, like, for example, if I was going to introduce somebody to my kids, like, they could be around my kids, and my kids are not worried about them because they're worried about each other. Like,
Yeah,
they're
that's true.
doing whatever. If I have one kid and we're in the, if I had one kid and you and my one kid are in the room together, like, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah, so I think I've done this terribly wrong. Let me tell you. So my older 2 children, obviously I had for my first marriage, and they didn't meet my husband, my like next/ex-husband, however you want to do that, their stepdaddy, until I was pregnant with my son. Like, it was like, okay, now y'all have to meet, because I'm like, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months pregnant with this man's child or whatever. But I just really, and I mean, he had been around, but I was super sneaky. Like, I just did not want my kids around somebody that I just didn't really know how to do it. So I just avoided it. And then it was like, well, we're going to be together. We're going to have a kid. We're going to get married. We're going to move in. So they have to meet. And that's how I did that. And so since then, since I've been divorced, obviously my older 2 children are older now. They're damn near grown. And my youngest is 10. So, but the whole time I've been divorced, like, I haven't really introduced anyone to my kids unless it was by like accident and they were just around as like a regular like they couldn't tell them from somebody else. You know what I mean? It's just like a
Right.
friend situation. But I think I'm doing it wrong. Like even my son was like, "Mom, why don't you just like bring him around? Like it's not a big deal."
Which
Like,
one?
I mean, he's
Which
got to
son
be
was that?
16,
Oh, the
so
older
he's
one.
like, "I don't care." He's like, "It's not a big deal. Whatever, you're grown." So I'm like, well, maybe if I just introduce them in like a regular setting, like they're just not like, oh, you come home and we're like laying in bed together or something,
Yeah,
but
nah.
like,
That's all bad.
no. But they're just around as like a friend, like they're
Yeah,
helping out, or they're just coming over to say hi, or we're in like an open, just like you would have your teenager, like you would have your teenager if you're gonna have a girl over or a boy over, depending on your sex. You are in the living room with the doors open, watching TV or
Right,
something.
right.
Like same kind of scenario, kind of how you were saying. And like
Yeah.
the kids are occupied with other things. It's not weird. You're not introducing them like this is my girlfriend or this is my boyfriend, but just
And
like,
it's
hey,
not
this is so and so.
forced.
Yeah, that way.
I
If
ha-
it develops into something, great. If it doesn't, then it's always like, oh, he was just like a random friend or whatever. Yeah, versus like all this pressure, because I put so much pressure on myself. Like, you're not meeting them until I know you're going to be in my life for like this amount of time. Because
Like
fuck
your-
that. I don't
like
need
your
people
kids don't
coming in
know
and out
what
my
you're
kids'
doing.
life.
Yeah,
What?
I
But they
mean,
don't. My
dating.
youngest, like, really, I
I'm
think
saying they
doesn't.
don't like doesn't know that you're dating. Oh, he does.
No,
for
he
sure.
doesn't. I think
does.
like he said he was like, Daddy was asking about you. I said, what was he asking? He said he asked if you had a boyfriend. I said, do I have a boyfriend? He said, I don't know. I said, that's good.
Right. So if he can have that conversation, then he knows what you're doing.
But he don't know though.
I mean, he might not know, but he know.
He knows.
It's
He
like
knows.
tell me that,
more,
y'all are-
it's like more so like an assumption.
Wait, hold on. I don't know what you're doing. I'm saying something different. I think that you're thinking. I'm saying that he knows that you're like dating and meeting guys. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, I'm sure I know they know that but
Right, so that's
also
the
I
point.
have guy friends. Like obviously, me and you do the podcast
Right.
and stuff. So if they hear me on the phone with guys, like they probably think like, well, she does a lot of business, she
Right.
music, podcast.
They're
Like
not
they don't
assuming that it's a
they don't
dating
know that it's
thing.
like a guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think I have a certain scenario in my head that will probably be the way I would always introduce anyone to my kids.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go into it. But
No, you're gonna go into this. What the fuck we're here for?
Right.
that's-
and we talking about
That's
That's-
what we're here for.
but that's not going to be the same scenario for everyone. So that's
what you need to.
not happening. Anyways, I have
Wow.
I have a certain.
Why do you
scenario-
have a podcast?
What's up?
Why do you have a podcast? Why are you doing this? If you're not gonna be open
Because
and
I'm
talk
dope
about
and people
no,
like listening to me.
fuck you. Don't gas him up anymore. Don't gas him up anymore. Listen. No. You
Anyways,
have
all right. My kids come on Friday, when they're with me for the weekend. So we get home from meeting halfway like 8:15. So I would have someone come over and hang out like after on Friday because they're already like crazy going about their business. They're not really worried about them, just to see them move on, do whatever they're doing. So
they're
that
not
in
really
my
paying
head, that's
attention.
the way it would go. Yeah, half paying attention.
I mean,
Yeah.
they don't really think anything of it. Like, oh
yeah.
my god,
So if
Dad
they
has,
see him
like,
again, then they probably know something's up.
Right. Gotcha.
So
That
they
makes sense.
never mention like, who is that when they get in the house?
Yeah, and that's the
No,
thing.
they're not gonna be there already. Like we get home and then that person would come over.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I think that's the thing. Like, I make such a big deal out of it that I think if I was just to have like my kids would be like, "Who is this
that?
guy?
Right.
Why
Who
is he
is
here?"
that?
Like, but
Yeah.
so that's why I'm
She's
trying to
social.
like slowly wean them in, like just around different like the podcast guy friends, people I do, so they don't know really what the hell's going on.
But see, you think you're sneaky. They're not idiots.
I would prefer to live in my like world, please.
Because you the only one halfway in it. Because to them, it's like, okay, we met dude. Like we know she's not married. So that, I mean, they.
And that's the thing is, I think my kids, again, me being a prude is that.
Don't quote in my life. I'm sorry, people.
Don't be
I'm
sorry.
joking,
Don't
I'm joking.
apologize for me.
I'm
I'm
joking.
not sorry. So, no, but I feel like, I always had this big thing on like, I used to teach my kids. My daughter thought, until she was like 13 years old, like you could get pregnant basically by like sitting on a toilet seat, kissing a boy, doing anything. Like I was like, you cannot have a baby unless you're married. I mean, listen.
My parents are the same way.
When I tell you, I'm like questioning all of my parenting at this point in my life because I used to. My kids didn't know how old I was when I had them. I used to lie to them about that because I wanted them to be untainted and have this very wholesome picture of
But
like you
it's
have to be
so-
married to have a child and like
It's so funny that everyone who tries to do that, like
fucks their kids up.
right.
My
well,
bad.
I didn't say.
My
fuck.
bad to like
She-
whoever. I'm sorry.
She said that, not me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I co-sign that, that's gonna come back to me.
I'm sorry.
but I feel like the more you try and just shelter them, like I was talking about this, like I said on my little rant yesterday, that I've always talked to my kids like they're grown up, like just like I'm talking to one of my boys. Always.
Me too.
I've always treated them and talked to them. The expectations are like they're grown up, and I think it goes a different way as opposed to just trying to baby them so much.
Yeah.
Because when do you stop babying them, right? I know 30-year-olds whose parents still do everything for them. Not that I'm telling you not to do that, but I'm just saying the effects I've seen of that are
It's a struggle because
they're worse.
Are 9 times out of 10 the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with that now because I kind of came to that realization over the last couple of years.
We talked about that.
Yeah, I know. And so I'm like, all right, kids, this is the deal. Shit's going to change. And my older two are freaking out. They like don't even know what to do because they're like used to the universe revolving around them. They're used to me saving them. They're used to me shelter. They're used to me doing everything. And so now they're like, wait a minute, you're like a whole person by yourself and you have like a life outside of us and like wants and needs and dreams. And I'm just like, yeah, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, you're selfish. I'm like, I am selfish. Amber's life matters. And I'm fucking like
Living it.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. But so they
But
probably
yeah,
need counseling.
I can
and-
say, like, in a way, it does mess your kids up. Because, like, me coming from sheltered background, both of my parents are pastors. So having a baby, not married, and, with them having that status, it was a lot of pressure. But also, it's like I didn't get to do a lot of things. So when I got to college, I wanted to experience everything that I never got a chance to do, So
That's how my daughter.
What
That's
about-
what she said. Like she's like, as soon as she got the taste of freedom, she was.
oh yeah, yeah.
Freedom can be your
So what
worst
about
enemy.
meeting your kid, your son?
Well,
Correct? Son?
yeah, my son.
Yep.
I never knew this was like a first time for me. Like I never dated with having a child, so I'm like, when is it time for somebody to meet them? When I was dating or talking to somebody, and I was like, I just want to wait because I don't know.
Right.
He's never been around anybody else but my family, and I felt like it was kind of forced a little bit because I wanted him to meet my family, but then again, it's like my son was gonna be around too, and then just after that, it just happened because he was around. He came over for dinner, but I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of forced a little bit because I kind
how
of
old
wanted
are
to
you?
wait. 27.
27.
See, I don't have any kids, but just from like my perspective, I feel like
Wait, real quick. How many kids have you met?
like females
Yeah,
that I was talking to.
motherfucker, you know what I'm asking you. We gonna sit here and do this.
Maybe two.
I feel like this is one of them things we're gonna multiply by 3.
I mean, I really haven't really encountered women with kids. Really, like I haven't.
But I also think you that's a reflection of the type of dude you are too. Like I feel like a girl is more comfortable introducing you to her kid if like you're like if even if she's not sure if it's gonna last forever. If you're the type of dude that she just feels like
Be a good role model, just a
Or-
good stand-up
I'm
can
guy.
just handle it.
But I'm
Yeah.
so scared. I think because I'm crazy. Like my kids meeting people and developing a relationship or a bond with somebody, and then that person.
Your son gave me pizza, by the way.
I know, and he's again like they're very sheltered
Right.
still, and I'm trying to work on it. But I still feel like I'm worried about them developing, and even with my female friends, this is not just about dudes. Like I had female friends when my older two especially were growing up because I was young. My friends were young, but my friends were like, "Oh, I'm gonna come pick you up on Saturday and shit," and then they wouldn't come, and I'd be like, "Listen, bitch, you're not gonna promise my kids shit that you're not gonna come through without
Right.
if you're
Oh,
a female or
yeah.
man."
Yeah.
I don't want people like. Coming in and out of my kids' lives and giving
Exactly.
them, building a bond with them is especially, well, I guess with all of them, though. I just think it's so important. Like, when you build a bond that it means something, and I know life lesson, people come in and out of your lives, but, like,
Right.
as a kid, it's so important for them to have consistent,
Definitely.
nurturing
Right.
relationships that they can depend upon, and I don't want people coming in and out of their lives. And, like, I went through a lot when I was growing up with my mom dating and stuff, and it was like, I didn't like a lot of her boyfriends, but when I did, and then they would leave, me and her would blame each other. She'd be like, "It's your fault." I'm like, "It's your fault." Like, like I liked him. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was nice having a daddish kind of thing around, and I don't want my kids to go through that. So I'm very particular in that aspect. What I'm referring to, Alex, is just like, so if she's comfortable bringing you around, but it's like, so you build this relationship because you're a good guy, you're trustworthy, all of that, but it doesn't work out between the two of you. Well, now little Joey or Sam or whoever is asking about you, or
like, what do you do in that situation?
The flip side, let's talk about the dudes who want to build a relationship with your kids to use that as a way to stay in your fucking life even after it's over.
You got something to talk about?
No, I'm just saying. Because I know people try to do that because a lot of guy friends know the situations that I have with my sons, and they're like, "Oh, I could be." I'm like, "Listen, motherfucker, I already know what it is. They have alternative agendas." Yep. So I'm like,
I've never heard of that. Really, I'm being dead on.
Yeah. From my perspective, from my perspective, that's why I feel like if somebody was to just introduce later than sooner. Because I know that can kind of be standoffish to somebody that doesn't have kids too as well. Like if you introduce your kid too soon. Now it's a different situation. Like if you have an only child, like you're gonna always be with your child. So it's a totally different situation. That's where having multiple kids kind of play a factor into just meeting somebody. I feel like it's more comfortable when somebody has more than one child.
Yeah, so. like he said it at the beginning, and also I think
because the pressure is not there.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
And no. And another thing is like when people, I think that you have to have a conversation with your person too. Just like, hey, are you cool with this? Because I know I was in a situation. I was dating someone, and he like. I don't know if he was really, really adamant about meeting my kids, and then he wanted me to be around his kid all the time, and then he's like, "Oh, come do this with us, come do that with us," and I'm like,
I remember you telling me that.
I'm like, go have your time, it's cool, and he's like, "What do you mean?" Like he would get offended as hell when I wouldn't want to be, but I'm like, that's your daddy's son time. Like I'm not trying to intrude. This is not a family affair. Like we, you know what I'm saying? Like I was so uncomfortable with it. I was so uncomfortable.
I think. That's a big thing too, is the expectations that you have for someone. Like that needs to be talked about for sure.
Definitely.
And I think if you're the one trying to introduce someone or allow someone to meet your kids, you should also like understand that like they don't have kids, like they don't understand. So they may be with it, they may be with the meet, and then need to back off and all that stuff. So it needs to be constant conversation in addition to, conversation ahead of time. So.
For sure. Is that unreal? I feel like we talk a lot about, that should be a conversation and you should be open with but like, are people really having these conversations when you're dating? Like, no.
I do.
No, but
I do. 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, what's up? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
All this. I'm like, my kids don't need another mother. Like, their mother is great.
Yeah.
Like, if you can be as involved or you don't or not.
But when you're dating, like, when does that conversation happen? I think that was like
I have that right away. I have kids. Like, there's no secret.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that I say. Also, like, I have a son, so just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation is different from conversation and actually meeting them. I feel like conversation, you should have that, as soon as you feel comfortable with that. But meeting them, that's something that should come.
I feel like
later.
in dating, people get really comfortable with whatever they got going, and they don't really want to stir the pot. So they don't bring up the uncomfortable conversations. They're just like, things are really good the way that they are. I don't want to bring up this uncomfortable conversation about kids or about this or about our status, because that was the other thing I mentioned on the promo for this. Is like, what's the levels of dating? Oh my God, I had a great thing. I should find it real quick when we go on break. But like,
are we taking a break?
Yeah. Yep. Is it time? What time is it?
Yeah, it looks like it is.
It is time. Okay, so. We're going to talk about the levels of dating and how you transition from one level to the next when we come back from this break, from this very surprise song that we'll introduce after the music.
Well, tell us what the song is.
We don't know. What is it?
Nobody knows.
I went with the Mo one.
Mo Money or something
the
like that.
Broke No Mo.
Broke
No
No
Mo.
Mo. Who was the artist? Do we
It's
know?
one of my favorite songs, actually.
Fat Boy?
Fat Boy. Oh, yep.
You know it?
No Mo.
Yeah, no, we had him on a show.
Fat Boy.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yep. Go ahead and play that.
A free advertising for
What's up? We're back. That was Broke No More by Fat Boy. He was a guest on the show in 2018, I believe. So we're back and we're talking about dating relationships. We have two guests that just joined us, Christian and Archie.
What's going on?
These are the ultimate bachelors people. I cannot vouch for them at this time. We'll see after this segment how they do.
A disclaimer.
I know.
Listen,
She's trying to act like I can't get guests.
But I like. Wait a minute. Now, see how he put his people on there. But I want y'all to remember whose show this is. Hi. So anyway,
this show is everyone you can see on the screen.
Wow.
Because I used to give y'all credit until y'all started coming at me.
Yeah.
Do you want me to mute him? I can mute him.
Doesn't
Doesn't have to be a show.
Oh man.
See, the
Got
problem
real.
is that when we're not here,
What? Sorry, I can't hear you.
What?
that's what's up. 'Cause They gotta come. They gotta come to my studio later. So
Listen.
I love it. Mute
Whose studio?
Mute
Whose
everybody.
studio?
Mute everybody.
I swear I went half on that shit.
How?
Really? Do we want to do this
Am
now?
I unmuted? Because let's talk about some shit. We're gonna talk about half.
Do we want to?
I have like 2,000 in there. You gave me 2,000. You gave me 1,000.
No. Up for the equipment I need, honey. I don't know
Right.
what you did without the extra shit. You
Right.
went to the It was unnecessary.
That's not half. Anyway.
It was unnecessary, but I know I got half on the mics and all of that shit. And then I also helped with my hard work and my muscles, moving shit around, putting shit up.
I figured that was coming. The show wasn't half of the.
Couldn't have done it without me. Couldn't have done it without me.
Throw it in your face.
You see how motherfuckers always trying to take
See how
credit
she
for
threw it
something.
back?
Yeah, people do stuff for you and they just throw it in your
In
face.
your
Wha-
face.
wha- you did it for me? You did it for me?
What's
You
up?
did it for me?
Anyways. Now
We're
for
scrapping.
the second
Y'all want
half
to see
of
some World
30
Star shit? Tune in
the
after the
30
show. It's going to be
I
exclusive,
I didn't sign up for that. I got warrants.
He said I got warrants.
Okay, so back to dating and stuff. We were just before the break talking about the different levels of dating and how you establish or transition from one level to the next. So there's like this meme that I've been seeing.
Wait,
or
hold on.
whatever you
Hold
want.
on. And I hope I'm not calling you out because I actually think it's a really great thing, right? That Christian is gay. So I've been begging him to come on my podcast, to come
Mm-hmm.
to the podcast with us because I think that gives it a total different dynamic in almost every conversation you
Does
have.
it? I mean, gay people function the same, right?
But it's two guys though, and guys think different than women do. So I wanted him to come for the education of knowing what the difference is and having the conversation.
Well, we're glad you're here then, Christian.
We're
But
glad
but I just wanted to point that out because I'm probably gonna ask him some questions specifically
cool.
based on what we talked about. So, anyways, go ahead.
So,
And he better come back to the other studio.
no. Who knows, though? You know, he might not.
What's the
because
name of that studio?
Exactly. What's the name of the
You gotta
studio?
have a name.
It's got my address.
30,
so-
flirty, and thriving.
Anyways, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna take out an LCC and put like half on that bitch, like established. This is anyway. So the little meme or whatever that's been going around social media says talking, which means we've exchanged numbers, we do things on a friendship level, maybe we've had sex, which I got. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about it. Testing the waters to see if it's a growing interest. That's one level. Then there's the next level, which is dating. So we're spending time together. We're doing various activities, maybe going to the movies, bowling, concerts, dinner, etc. as friends, but there is a mutual interest in each other, but we're still kind of allowed to talk to other people. Like, it's
This
not
is the
exclusive.
longest meme I've already checked out.
Already.
Long meme, right?
Already.
That's a
Don't
long
do
meme.
it. Don't come for me.
No. It's not your meme.
He said he saw it, and it's a long
Yeah, I
meme.
saw
Yeah.
it. It's
He's
just a long.
agreeing
It's
with you.
not your meme.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying
I
that's a
know.
long
No. Okay.
meme,
Yeah. No.
man.
It is.
Like,
But
brevity's the
Watch
key.
how I look into my life because this Archie is what
He deals with
Go
it on a
ahead.
daily. Go ahead.
she come at my head, but he tried to give her a compliment. You can't even compliment
listen,
30 flirting and
we're
thriving.
not doing this.
Wow.
We're not
Okay, back to the meme.
Yeah.
Expose.
Listen. Okay.
Thesis in the
So the
meme.
next part is dating exclusively. We're dating. However, we have cut out other people we're interested in just to focus on getting to know each other better. And then there's the relationship. So we've made a mutual agreement to become a couple. It's you and me, point blank, period. So I think there's a lot of confusion these days with what level we're on, how we get to that level, when do we have that conversation, what does it mean? And I think there's so many people who get really comfortable in this space of dealing with a person and being in a full-on relationships for all intents and purposes. You're doing everything that a relationship does, but you're not claiming the person. So let's talk about it. Like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in a room, all different experiences, different sexual orientations, like all of that. So what do we say? How are the levels? What are the levels? How are they established?
I only have one thing to say, so that I'm just gonna lead it. I've already said this when we had this conversation. Was we are not any level unless we've talked about that level, right? So anyone that's talking to me,
dude, how can you say that?
What you mean?
How can you say that you're not any level until we've talked about it when you know females need a level? They need something.
I think that's why you say something.
That's the point. Yeah, if you ain't saying nothing,
you both have to come to the same
but
agreement.
It's so fucking unfair because then there are memes about us. There are memes about us that are like when she wants to have that after sex conversation. So what are we? Like, no, don't do that to me. No,
don't do it after sex.
What you mean?
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Wait till after coffee.
No, but why does it always have to be the girl establishing?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm saying do not put me in a level or status that we haven't talked about.
How about you not put somebody else in a level by doing activities that you do in these fucking levels on the meme?
Period.
But that I don't go by the meme.
Yeah, that meme is really convoluted. There's
meme,
a lot going on.
Just because someone wrote a meme, let me write a meme. I'll write a meme that says we're not anything until we talk about it.
What it do it? Put it on your page.
That's kind of that's bars right there.
Right. Yeah. In fact, don't nobody ask me a question. I gotta write a meme.
Yeah. You gotta start trading memes.
Okay.
With each other.
Babe, see this meme? That's what we are.
So listen, no, but seriously, I think this is a good question because I think females don't want to be the person to be like, so what are we?
I kind of cringe every time you say females.
Because I feel like it's more females than males. There's this stigma.
I mean,
why can't we just say women and men? Why would we say like females?
Because what the fuck are we?
I mean, because you're basing it down to just like the basic biological.
Yeah, because
like gender instead of just saying like women and man. Like,
because I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about ladies, bitches, hoes, girls. I'm talking about.
We can take it there. Don't let the cardigan fool you. Like, yeah, these hoes tripping out.
You see how my guest is holding it down now?
Yeah. I was trying to be educated.
Y'all notice that.
No,
we can take it there.
No, listen, this show is
nobody's fault.
No, I'm serious because that's why I say females because I'm not just talking about women. Yeah. I do feel like there are levels also of the different genders, and I feel that women are, so I'm talking about the female species, gender, whatever you want to call it. Like, we don't want to be the one who always has to have that conversation or bring it up, and we don't want to be looked at like, well, it's always the girl like, oh shit, she wants to be in a relationship. Why? Well, if you like me and I like you and we're doing relationship stuff, and
I feel like when males bring it up though, I feel like it's an issue too as well. Now we in our feelings. Now we drinking, all this other stuff.
I'm saying if a guy isn't bringing it up to you, there's a reason why he's not bringing it up to you. Yeah, so I'm saying don't put a status unless you've talked about it. If you go to him to talk about it and he doesn't want to have the conversation, there's a reason for that. If he hasn't brought it up to you, there's a reason for that. Because the flip side is when a guy wants something, like he's after it.
Yeah.
He's gonna get that conversation.
I believe that.
He's gonna get.
Is that reciprocal though for women? Could y'all speak on that? Like if a woman, I've noticed that if a woman like wants to have that conversation, she gonna have that conversation.
She will.
Yeah,
she gonna try. I feel like
she gonna try.
She gonna put it in the atmosphere.
And I feel like she's gonna do that. But I feel like a lot of times if a woman is not trying to have that conversation, it's because she already knows the answer.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think so too. Or they're scared.
Yeah, I was gonna
what
say
the outcome is gonna be.
Yeah, like I just run. Like I just be like,
so you on the same page, right?
No.
They on that same tip.
No,
it's no different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm not saying that. Listen, I am not saying I'm better than anybody. Like I am like. I've noticed a pattern where I'm like talking to somebody. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling them, they whatever, and then I'm like,
stop.
I'm glad someone else see it.
Listen,
Alex, now you're not about to.
Hey, they got him started.
Company.
Thank you,
oh,
girl.
Man.
Thank you. Just because you got company, little friends, y'all can go wait outside while the grown folks.
No, what I'm saying is Jamie.
Shut the studio down.
Jamie trying to stay neutral, and I respect that because why you gonna start some shit if there ain't no shit?
Oh no, I mean I got your back, but you know I stay. I stayed neutral until something said that I think otherwise.
I feel like some testosterone showed up.
It's too much for me. I'm getting hot and shit. Like, God. No, listen.
Yeah, I got a drink.
But I'm just saying that like I don't really want to have that conversation because I don't know, I think for a number of reasons. So I just be like, ooh, I like you. Let me bounce. Like, let me be done. Let me just, this is like too much for me. But
self-preservation.
Maybe. But I think that also,
ego.
Also, yeah, for sure. But I think also there are a lot of men who have the same issue. And like once they start liking a person, they run. And
so you're not ready to be in a relationship though if you can't be vulnerable enough to have that.
Well, I don't think it's that I'm not ready to be in a relationship. It's think I know my level of.
So being in a relationship though, there's a level of vulnerability.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So if you can't have the level of vulnerability to communicate, as Christian said, and as Alex said, if you can't have that vulnerability where I'm gonna have a conversation, you don't need to be in that relationship.
Well, you wanna know how how we got to that level? I got a little. No.
You and your husband?
Yeah, me and my husband was like, will you date me? Yes, no, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It went back to elementary. It was funny, but it started the way.
You said, will you date me?
Yeah, are you ready? Yeah,
you wrote it or he wrote it?
He wrote it.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I wasn't ready. I was enjoying being single.
Yeah.
And so it was like, and he was like, no, I have enough friends.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Bars.
Yeah, no, seriously. So it was comical at the same time because that brings you back to what elementary school when that used to happen, and so it sparked like, okay, this is serious. This is maybe I need to.
If this is elementary, it's serious.
It's elementary but serious at the same time.
Bringing butterflies.
Yeah. But it sparked that way. Like you don't have to be serious. Like okay, we need to talk. You know, that's what I'm saying. Because that's the last thing a guy want to hear is we need to talk.
Oh yeah, million and one things is racing in my mind, especially if a female says that.
I got hot.
I'm gonna think you pregnant. And we never had sex.
Oh shit! Damn, should I breathe on her too hard?
Yeah, you're like, yo, what happened? Like,
so it was comical. Maybe try a different approach. You don't have to be. Where are we at?
Are we cursing?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Did you hear me? I'm like,
wait, I heard you, but I didn't know if she like.
Only I get to cuss. No.
You were on that level, and we had to be on. A different level.
Absolutely. That's what it is.
What's my favorite word?
Wait, but don't say that because I don't like that.
She doesn't like that.
But I feel like you like females.
I feel like
what's wrong with females?
That's not derogatory in any way.
Again, that is describing the entire.
But you don't walk around and say, "Man, these males out here be tripping." You don't say that.
She probably does.
She probably does.
Yeah.
I do. I'm like males are dudes.
I mean, I understand, but why?
Because I don't want to say chicks.
It's like deducing all the way to their just basic biological.
That's what I need because sometimes I have to speak on a basic level for basic people to understand it.
I'm speaking to the.
Not saying that y'all are basic. Not saying that y'all are basic.
That was light bars.
I'm also not basic.
Yeah, we're not.
Alex might be a little basic.
Yeah, I'm basic. Anyway,
he's like a Starbucks drinking, like.
First of all, what's wrong?
Jimmy John's eating.
Oh, she tried to say you was a Fashion Nova man.
They flame
yoga pants.
They always do it.
They listen. They come at me.
They flaming.
But see, eventually it's all gonna come twofold. And that moment is gonna happen. That I'm gonna have full control.
Oh man.
And I feel like I'm gonna glow. I'm gonna glow like Bruce Lee.
It's never gonna happen.
And I'm gonna.
You can go home and dream about it, but it's never gonna happen in real life.
Are you can crash everything?
So
finish him.
So I want to ask Christian. So how did you feel when he sent you that? In that sense, like I know it was like all fun and games, but like
shit just. So is that? So it was like it was funny, but I knew where he was going, and so I was like, okay, like I guess I need to step up myself. I need to step up, and then we had that. We actually had that conversation, but it wasn't like I didn't go in it like with the like you said when you hear that we got to talk.
Yeah,
that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, you gotta have some
at
icebreakers.
any time, you know. So it's like okay, I kind of knew what we was going to talk about, and it actually allowed me the opportunity to start the conversation. So he gave the little nudge.
And gave you time to think.
It gave you time to
hit
think.
you in the moment and say, hey, I need to answer.
And I need to
right
answer
now.
right away. No, it was just like.
And that's a good point right there. That I think.
How long? Wait, sorry. Go ahead.
You can go.
Yeah, you about to actually.
I was like, how long had y'all been?
It was a month.
Into
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, depending
Had
on
y'all
what
had
you're doing.
sex?
Yes.
Okay, I was like,
First time we.
I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
My man said he
We
was
grown.
enjoying
We
being
grown.
single. He told you what it was.
And you want to ask too many
Yeah,
questions.
you asked.
Because I am the type of person, I need fucking clarity. Like, I need black and white. I
Yes.
need boxes
So
checked.
she
Like,
can run. So you can run.
Yes, just so you
Yeah,
demanding
right,
a lot just to
Right,
walk
just
out the
to-
door. Like
Yeah, she
I ain't
is.
giving
Ask
you
a lot of
shit.
questions.
Like
Yeah.
She the LeBron James of the relationship.
Right, I
for
don't-
sure.
Yeah, I don't-
man.
Yeah,
I
for
don't know
sure.
is the answer for Amber. I
y'all are
don't
not-
know.
No, because I give the same in return. I'm authentic and I'm wait a minute now.
Call her deuces.
Yeah.
No.
Deuce.
but
That's your
if-
name now, Deuce.
Because if I decide deuces, that's because there's not enough clarity for me or whatever, and I'm just
Right.
like, I'm starting to feel things, and I'm just like, let me just first fucking orange flag, not even full red. That motherfucker can be pink, and I'm like, but
Yeah. Interesting.
but
Y'all gonna stop.
thank God for Jalen. So like no, but the clarity is important for me. I need to know what it is because I need to know in which way I operate. Like I have
sure.
I get it.
like when I first got divorced, I the first person I started talking to, I was operating in wifey mode because I didn't know any other role. So I was just like, it's like
Makes sense.
I had to learn like you cannot play the role of wife
Right.
to someone you're dating. That
Right.
they don't deserve that
Right.
portion
Man,
of
they
you. And
gonna
I
take
didn't.
that and run with it.
Wifey material is like just basically like to get stepped on.
Yeah, and I
Because
didn't
you're just a material.
Yeah.
Exactly, and
Wifey
I didn't
material.
know that, so I had to learn that. So now I'm like, okay, I need to know. I know how hard I love. I love super hard. I'm super dedicated, loyal, like all of the above. So
So is you single now?
Or
Or are you running from something?
Why are you?
Dog.
Thank you. We got 2 minutes,
This
and
a
on
hot
that
seat.
note,
Yeah, 'cause you do a lot of talking. I want to know what's going on.
No, no.
Like, I'm tired of all
You
this.
want
like,
to get to the
she's
details.
letting us know that it's time.
No, hold on. This was not gonna happen. You two. I done asked these two to come in the studio so many times and can't get them, and then they want to come and be fire guests. You better say something.
Shit, I'm ready. Like, what's up?
No,
Okay,
no,
so
what's
say
up?
something. Say something.
I was
good.
gonna say one more thing. I was gonna say based on what Christian said. I think if you want to have that conversation, and obviously the whole point of this conversation is people to learn from it. I think you have to give them that door, that open door that you bring it to them. You say, hey, this is what I'd like to talk about. You write them a note. You do whatever. Give them time to think about it because I think sometimes just putting them on the spot is going to get you the answer that they don't even mean or that you don't want when it's not really that way.
Yeah, that's
So I think that was a great point. Is in a great tactic is that you got to be able to have a full conversation. You can't have a full conversation on the spot right after sex, no matter what. So that's one thing.
I'm not even
Like,
thinking
ooh,
clear.
Zaddy, you laid it
No, not
down,
at
so we
all.
together or
Not
what?
at
No.
Yeah.
I might turn around and propose.
Yeah. If you did it right, yeah,
Yeah.
that could happen.
Shit. We might as well just go ahead and get married.
Yeah. Try and put a baby in you. You know?
No, we talked about that now,
See?
damn it. That could be
All
a
right,
threat.
Everybody
so
wanna
has
come
everybody
in.
established like their relationship status? Like, what's going on?
Like
No.
no.
Damn, wait a
no,
minute now.
we didn't because we only had 2 minutes.
Alex was like, we ain't got
Yeah, you
time
can't
for
do that with 2 minutes. You
Wait a
should have.
minute.
Yeah.
You should
No,
have
but
been here from the beginning.
The
damn it.
meeting
We started
took
85.
5 minutes.
That's what we was. We weren't doing that. We were talking about
Just talking
I don't.
about it.
I don't have a problem. But I'm
Everybody
saying-
here is on some bullshit. we all just gonna own that we ain't shit right now before we wrap this up.
Why? I
No,
for
own
yourself.
it. You ain't shit.
Oh,
we gonna wrap it up.
Oh, man.
So
Oh, that's the rap.
on
That's
that
the
note-
rap.
Yeah, we
no,
really
it
are.
is. We're
'Cause
done.
y'all
Y'all
came
came
so
so late.
it started at 8. I told you that.
Oh,
right.
this would have made.
You're
We gotta
right.
redo it. We gotta do it at
Yeah.
our studio.
Bad puppies.
Okay,
Yes.
half on it. I got half on
In
the
our
studio.
studio.
Our studio.
Oh, we wrapping it up.
Look, she really okay. So thank y'all for tuning in. 30, Flirty, and Thriving. The best Amber on all social channels. Jalen.
J_Joy at 21.
Jamie. No, I'm not going to even say it.
Oh,
We don't
all
have
right,
time
cool.
for it.
At batch ULTBACH.
I got a job, so I'm just Archie.
Okay.
Christian.
Christian.
Yeah,
Moral of the
corporate
story is
job.
if you want to move from dating
Words.
to in a relationship, slide him a note that says, will you be my so-and-so?
That is fire though.
That is fire.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's funny.
When will we get the freestyle?
Right.